again. Another episode of Game TeaTime. How we doing?
Good. Doing good.
This is
I run a quick audio test.
Oh no, I already did. We're good. We're live. We're ready for this. Let's go.
Nice.
One.
Woo! 2, 3, party. So who's got? Well, do we have any tea today? Anybody bring tea, or is it just water? What do we got?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Just water.
Oh man, no tea time. I didn't even bring tea. I'm
9
slacking.
p.m. here.
I know.
Same thing as like it's tea time and we don't even drink tea.
I know. It's okay. We'll get there one day.
I'm in the UK. I'm officially always drinking tea.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so how are we feeling today? What do we feel like talking about? We feel like talking about game dev, AI, tech, some games we've been
So
playing.
a couple interesting things, right? So last time we were talking about me having a few worries about moving out of Souls-likes. And I've been playing a game that is not a Souls-like for the past couple... Oh, no, the past 3, 4... When did I start playing?
Oh, you're talking about Horizon?
Yeah, it's like 3-4 weeks. Been quite an interesting
You enjoying
quite an
it?
interesting experience. Yeah.
I knew you would. It's such a good game. It really is.
It's not
Which game is that?
it's my way of playing, I'd say.
It's
I
Horizon.
went in
Zero Dawn.
completely blind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't know what the game was about. All I knew was robots. Yes. That's all I knew.
It's robots.
And it's
involved.
open world.
Yeah.
Open world robot.
How far
You
are
have a bow. I'm level 55.
Oh, so you're
and
basically near
I-
the end.
No, so I'm in the quest where you go after the guy at the mine.
Okay, where's that? I haven't played Zero Dawn in a while.
It's the
Do you know
first
like,
quest after you get to the big city.
Okay,
I
so you
got
don't
there,
even know who you really
Save
are.
the king. No.
Cool, you're just this girl who grew up as an outlaw.
I just did. I did. Yeah, I did the DLC. That's
You
why.
did the DLC before.
Of course, like I got to the city. Someone said, "Oh, go to the mountains," and I went like, "Well, yeah, whatever. Let's go there." And then I saw you get an amazing bow there. I kept doing the quest.
I did like half the DLC. I just never got to finish it. But it's pretty cool because you get to like become a chief, right? You get to do the challenges.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly. Yeah, I got an achievement that 6.8% of players have.
Look at you go! Let's
It's
go!
just-
Hey, but yeah, no, the game's
It's
really great, Bryant.
to complete all the hunting grounds things in there.
Yeah,
The
I
last
think it
one's
was
super
on my
hard.
list at one time. I just never got around to getting it.
you should because the combat's fun. You can't just like go in. I mean, you could go in just like shooting your bow, but you kind of have to think about it, put traps up,
Yeah.
like scan them, see what's gonna hurt them.
I
what's
mean,
not.
the most fun is not to put the traps up beforehand. It's to like toss the traps as you're running away from the
No, yeah,
machines.
exactly. I love doing
Super
that.
fun. They
Yes.
start blowing up and stuff.
No, yeah,
Hmm.
it's very good.
Playing on ultra hard as well, so that there's that. It feels a little bit like a Souls-like. It's like you even have iframes when you're dodging. So it's a Souls-like without a stamina bar.
Oh, Ricardo, you're on the Let's Play Every Game on ultra hard mode.
Yeah, no, I don't play anything on
Oh my
any
goodness.
lower difficulty. I killed 6 fire claws.
You are
Have
insane.
you killed a fire claw?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
but
one
not
of the
on ultra
achievements.
hard.
I got it on 3 days ago. 10% of players have that achievement. And it's part of a quest though. You complete the DLC quest,
Mhm.
and you have to go and kill 5 fire claws outside. If you kill one in the last kind of story mission in
Yeah.
there. I'm still waiting to get my second mod for my spear as well, because you're supposed to get 2 mod slots.
You could eventually, I bet. I still haven't beaten the DLC,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Because like I dropped a rare damage mod for the spear, and I googled like how do I get a spear that has mod slots, and I saw, oh, it's the DLC. I'll do the DLC then.
You're fun.
I want to use this. Like I had an extremely strong. It was like 24% damage.
Yeah. You're gonna be so powerful for the whole, like main story and main boss.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be too easy
yeah.
for you.
That doesn't matter. Like the DLC was hard enough,
Mhm.
but I felt like the main game's a lot more polished. The DLC has some small quirks and slightly weird bugs that I noticed,
Mhm.
which is kind of to be expected, I guess. But
Yeah.
it looks great because like it's in the snow, so like
Mhm.
I'm playing it with everything on ultra as well. So like you see the particles are so good, and it's I think it's slightly remastered, right? Because it came out for PS4, I think.
Yeah, so this is the PS5 version. And then if you think that's
Yeah.
beautiful, the sequels, the most beautiful game I've ever
Oh,
seen. It really is. But Brian, you got to
it's
get
on my
on it.
to-do list. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to play it. You're missing out.
Yeah.
So
I'll put it on
It's
my
a game
list.
you can play at your own pace as well.
I'm not gonna spend $50 on it, but I'll put it on my wish
I
list.
mean, it should be cheaper now.
No,
Yeah, no, it's been like 34. It's 50? No, but
There's
is
no way.
it
There's no way.
Zero Dawn or?
Yeah, I'll rephrase that.
But is
Because all I'm seeing
there
is the
cheap?
complete edition. I don't.
Yeah,
see-
that's the one I have.
Yeah, it's 60.
I paid $24.99.
Yeah, I'll throw it in my wish list. It'll come down.
Christmas-
Yeah, one day.
Christmas
It's all the other 100
I know.
games.
Yeah, it's always gonna be cheap on a Christmas sale. I like it. I bought so many games during Christmas. I got myself like Dark Souls 1 through 3, Elden Ring, Sekiro, God of War,
You're a beast.
Zero Dawn. Now I just need to play them. And all the Spider-Mans that were available for PC. So not Chew, just regular Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, play them all on
I've been
hard.
playing Minecraft with the daughter.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's awesome too.
Yeah.
That brings up a good question. What's the preferred way to play a game? Is it like on normal or is it on hard? Because I feel like when you play hard, you actually become that character. Like when I'm playing.
Oh, yeah,
Kratos-
that's a great question.
Mhm.
That's a great question. I've heard a lot of discussion on that. I've seen like so many video essays on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's not. It depends on the game. The answer is depends on what is the intended experience. The Witcher, the hardest difficulty is the intended experience, clearly, because
I mean, yeah.
you become a Witcher, you have to actually collect the thingies to make the potions
Yeah.
and stuff. If you're playing on normal, you just
You
your
just
sword.
hack and slash. I mean, it's fun, but
Yeah.
you're not getting that full.
But it's not the same game.
No,
Like it's
not
not
at
the
all.
same game. It would be better if they found a way to balance it in a way where on easy you still had to do that, but it wasn't as hard, right? Or maybe it was easier to make the potions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an easier way to get the experience. I think the worst way you can make actually different difficulties is the way Diablo 3 does it. I haven't played Diablo
How do
4
they
yet,
do it?
but so basically you start with I think 3 difficulties unlocked, and they're all extremely easy. When you get to a point in the story, you unlock the next level, and it's not based on skill at all. It's just everything's a damage sponge. So it's
That's
basically
annoying.
you increase the difficulty, so it increases the drop rates for better items. So you can get stronger and increase the difficulty again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's not like
But
it's
it's
more
basically-
challenging. It's just you need to do more hits because they have more health.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't
And
like
like
that.
you get one shot by everything as well. So it's not nice. I like the way I like when you can lower the difficulty if you don't want to engage with certain mechanics, and I think that's what they were trying to do with The Witcher 3. I like to play on hardest difficulty usually because it forces you to pay attention to what you're doing. But
Mhm.
some games are just unfair on the
Yeah,
hardest
that's also
difficulty.
annoying.
Like when I play Bethesda games, I
Mhm.
usually play on hardest, with one exception, because I play on PC. So there's always that time where you quick save, and a second later you're shot by a sniper.
Oh, it's the
There's
worst.
no way to dodge that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pause the game as you're dying, lower the difficulty so you don't die, move out of the way,
Yeah, I've done
Right.
that.
increase the
Plenty of
difficulty,
times.
and save again. Like it's so dumb. Like if you die like half a second after you save the game, like just move the character back. That's what Horizon does actually. Like because it saves the game when you complete any quest. But you could, in theory, like complete a quest. It happens a lot with the hunting grounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
complete them because they're timed, so you're not caring about staying alive that much. You just want to complete it, and you die like half a second later before you talk to the guy like up the hill. But it's saved, so you spawn up there
Oh, it's beautiful.
with the
That's
quest
what-
completed.
yeah.
Right.
Like,
You gotta make the game easy. You can't just like make it so frustrating that people will quit. Because that's happened to me where like I'm tired, I come home from work, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to have a good time, and then I die constantly. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do something else. Because like I don't
think
want to change the
sometimes-
difficulty, but I want to keep playing. And so
Sometimes you just kind of want to go through the story too.
that's true.
yeah,
And,
I think story modes are a modern idea that really works.
Yeah. I'm not as concerned about the how hard it can be. It's just kind of listen to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think a few games also do it in like on Wolfenstein, for instance, like I think they call the easiest like baby mode or something like
Baby
that.
mode. I
Like,
gotta insult the player.
why dude? Just don't insult the player. Uh, I think you need to a game that does it well. I think it was Fallen Order that has this slider that's just showing you like how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like like aggressiveness, damage, things like that. Like it's not just hard, easy, medium, and hard, right? They still have those names, but it tells you what they are.
I like that a
So you
lot.
can make kind of a more informed decision. And I think The Witcher does that. Even The Witcher 2 kind of does that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games do something like that. But I find there's a fine balance as well. Being able to create a custom difficulty in theory is amazing, but at the same time, like 99% of players have no idea what they want in terms of difficulty.
I do like the custom difficulty. I did it with Last of Us 2. So I made like everything really hard, except I did where like I get supplies. It's like on easy mode. So that way I always had a bunch of supplies. So that way at least it was like possible to win, and I didn't have to like struggle each level. So I like that.
It depends on the game you want to play, right?
Yeah.
So, like
Some
most
MMOs are that
players
way.
don't want. Yeah, most players don't want to be designers. They just want to experience, right? And I think a few game. Actually, to be fair, the best way to do it's very hard, but it's very rewarding for the player most of the time when it's not visible, which is just dynamic difficulty. So
Oh, like Red
Resident
Dead
Evil
2.
4 does it really well.
Mhm.
Like it even spawns more or less enemies depending on how well you're doing. Like if you know that's happening, then it's lame because like you're being punished for doing well. But if you don't know that's happening, it's just oh yeah, there are 5 enemies.
Mhm.
I'll kill them, right? Or if you're doing poorly, there's like 2. You don't know that.
So like, how do you plan to develop for that? If it's dynamic, like leveling, you have to make sure the levels designed and the enemies are designed so well that like you can change and still give you the same experience, whether it's harder, easier.
Yeah, I think the best way to do that would be to just make supply. Your example with supplies is a great one because like just make it so it drops, and that's very common actually. Drops more health packs when you're lower on health. It drops more ammo if you need more ammo. Things like that, like giving you what you need. It's like you could just increase everything's drop rate, and then you're getting like a sword because you took more damage. And
Yeah.
it's lame.
Yeah, and I see a lot of that, and that's what sometimes the difficulties just make the games more tedious. You know,
it doesn't
especially
work.
like resource gathering games where it's like, we're just gonna make it drop less resources. It's like great, it's gonna take me longer. That's all it's gonna mean.
Exactly.
I just have to play more.
Yeah, I felt that with Borderlands too. Like, if you increase the difficulty and go to New Game Plus, like everything's just a damage sponge.
Yeah, so
It's not harder.
Feel like a Vault Hunter. You just feel like, oh my gosh, there's less stuff in this game. It's not as fun.
Yeah.
It's not like when you do
that's
God
why
of
I think
War.
it worked. Yeah, I think it worked for Horizon as well because it's machines. But it doesn't feel weird when you headshot it 5 times because it's a machine.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has protection, right? It's like the hardest on Horizon is like 5 or 6 different sliders that are harder. It's like you take more damage, you deal less damage, and everything costs more at vendors, like 5 times more or something like that.
Jeez, that's a
and
lot.
Kind of it's not that hard. Like
see that I would lower because I just don't want to deal with that.
Because you always have like, but technically you can just lower the difficulty, talk to the vendor, buy it, and increase it.
I guess that too.
Yep, you're not even locked in. It's like, is it really a mechanic you have to deal with?
One of the older Fallout games, I want to say when you increase the difficulty, they did less supply drops, which really added to the game, right? Because now you're almost like counting your bullets because you
depends on the game,
which is
kind
of part of the experience.
Emotions. Yeah, what is the emotion you're trying to evoke?
It adds to it.
Yeah,
you're scraping.
I think it does well in games. It's like, if you're playing Minecraft, if you lower drop rates, it just sucks. But if you're playing a game where like the experience is, because if it's not a power fantasy, basically, if it's a game where you're supposed to feel weak, then that
scarcity.
Yeah, that evokes an emotion. If that is the emotion you want to evoke in your game, then it makes sense.
Right.
think that's the first question you need to ask yourself, right? What do I want the player to feel with this mechanic? Right? Be it drop rates, it's like Diablo, like, or any looter shooter or ARPG, right? The emotion they want you to feel is like exhilaration, right? They want you to kill monsters and then drop a bunch of stuff and like see those purple things like jumping up and maybe a couple golden ones because you got a legendary, right? That's the emotion they're evoking, and that's like the whole thing with Diablo Immortal, right? You had to pay to actually get that experience.
You had to pay for the difficulty?
So you could pay to get better drops at dungeons.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it was a mobile game.
Yeah.
Right.
It was extremely big. I mean, like people were spending like $10,000 a week for that game.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's worse than EA.
Yeah, no, I heavily recommend a video called "The Moral Design of Diablo Immortal" by Josh Thrive Hayes. That's a very good one.
Okay, I'll definitely.
The game doesn't even tell you can. So basically, it has gems that you can put when you start a dungeon that increase the drops and stuff. And you can put in, I think, 3 or 5 gems. And when you put the 3rd or 5th, I don't know, it shows like 5 more slots or something like that. So it doesn't even tell you that you could put like 10 gems until you try to put 5.
Wow.
So you don't know you could be spending even more. It's like and all of those like obfuscation techniques where you're not spending actual money, you're spending E-bucks or whatever.
Which doesn't feel like real money. And you're like, oh, let me just use the credit card really quick. And it happens so quick, the transactions. And you're like back to spending more money. And
you just need to buy something once, because then the game doesn't ask for confirmation through the Play Store. Right? There's that as well.
That is dangerous.
But yeah, I think difficulty. Another issue that happens with a lot of games is that you create a game with X difficulty in mind, and everything else is just a slider, and then all other difficulties feel either too easy or too hard for no reason.
Right.
Not like they feel hard because like the mechanics are harder. I think a game that it has a lot of problems, but it does the different difficulties really well most of the time is WoW.
Of course.
Don't make it, but like it does difficulties really well. Like harder modes of bosses just have more mechanics, so you need to learn more mechanics. So like instead of forcing you to just damage sponge or whatever, right? It's actually okay. You have to engage with this whole aspect of the game that you wouldn't, and it's a harder thing to do, or it's just more, so it's harder.
But it's also more rewarding because you feel like you're actually getting the full experience. You feel like you're getting smarter. You're like, I understand these like mechanics, and that's what we want for players, to feel like the actual player, to be in that experience. Especially as we get towards VR games and like mixed reality games, I want you to be this character. If you're playing Last of Us, it's got to be hard because you're trying to survive. If you get shot or captured, it's over for you. You need to feel that. Now, the only thing I won't do is permadeath. I feel like that's the most hardest difficulty.
Oh no, that's like permadeath. I'm against permadeath. I hate games that even have like a difficulty. Well, yeah, but like I hate when games have a difficulty level where it adds stuff and adds permadeath, and you cannot just add the stuff. You need to add everything together. Like I don't engage with some mechanics because I don't play permadeath.
Yeah. Like if I could do permadeath on super easy difficulty, I might. Just see, like if I make a mistake, sure, but like I could probably make it, and it's still rewarding.
Yeah, and like to be fair, like permadeath is a mechanic for less than 1% of players.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to do that. No. Like WoW created a hardcore servers where I once and then you don't even lose the character; it's just transferred to a non-hardcore server.
I mean, some games are kind of built like that. Like the old Sly Cooper, you had like these lucky charms you could pick up, but you basically had 1 life throughout the whole game. And if you didn't get those lucky charms, you pretty much had to restart. Or I guess you had to restart the level. They had levels, and so it wasn't the whole game. But still, it was like a concept where it's like, you have no health. You get hit once, you're done. And I'm like, that's not easy.
Yeah. Well, and some games have that, especially like first-person shooters can be bad about it too. Modern ones where, you get shot out of nowhere and just die. It's like, this sucks.
Yeah. That is really annoying.
Yeah,
it's realistic.
It's hard to balance though, because like it's modern warfare is basically you randomly get shot by a sniper and you're dead, or a bomb falls next to you, you're dead. Right?
But I couldn't imagine playing some of those. Like I was playing that Black Ops recently. There's some levels that I must have played 30 times because as soon as you run out that door, someone takes you out. It's just like, I don't even know how I'm going to get past this point, you know?
You playing on veteran?
You get old really quick if that was implemented.
I like it though because they always train me for multiplayer. Like if you play Call of Duty campaigns on veteran, I'm so ready for the multiplayer. I was like, okay, because you get shot from every corner, so you're like just constantly like looking, getting ready. So it's kind of like a training ground, but it's not fun when you're trying to enjoy the story and you've died 30 times.
Kind of watching your back and looking around, it's when it's very hidden where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And by the time you figure it out, you're just like, oh man. And this is on a single player, mode. It's like I would never have saw that person there in the time that it takes for them to kill you. What's the point?
Yeah.
It just creates
the way you get past it is just you learn they're there. Right.
Right. You go a different direction or
you throw a grenade without looking, right? Because you know they're there.
Exactly.
What's crazy to me is
it's just lame.
Hell Let Loose
That is an
is
interesting
super
game.
realistic. You don't know if you got a kill. You get shot like basically once, and you're either really wounded or you're dead. It's like it's not supposed to be like fast paced like Call of Duty. You're supposed to take it slow. And that game was hard for me to get used to. It was fun though, but like it was also like this is too realistic for me. Do I really want this experience? I don't. I mean, it's cool maybe if like once in a while I get like that like historical simulation of like what it was like to be in the trenches, but like it's not fun. It's definitely not a fun experience. I would not want to actually be in that situation. So.
No.
But I do guess I like those games because it's kind of like time traveling. It's putting you in the shoes, making you feel like, oh, like all the war games are fun, but that's because it's not really real. The real experience isn't fun. You don't get like plus 10 points when you kill someone. You don't get that satisfaction.
Yeah, it's just that nightmares for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy. And then also you have to be like realistic with it when it comes to like planning stuff. You had like a guy who was like coordinating everyone and said we have to attack here and move the tanks here and do that. I was like, dang. This is too bad.
It's interesting, but then it gets to the point where like you need to have you play the game as a job, right?
Yeah.
Then a new thing. I don't want that. I have a job.
Yeah, I don't need 2 jobs. Just want one.
Yeah, it was my issue playing WoW recently. Like I couldn't. Yeah, I think just it all goes back to the experience you want the players to have. I think just adding like a note next to the difficulty you designed the game for, saying, "Oh, we designed the game for X difficulty. Anything harder than this might feel unfair or whatever. Might be implicit, but like will feel unfair most of the time. Or anything lower, you might be missing part of the experience. Because then, what ends up happening is that you're just not forced to learn all the mechanics, so your play pattern becomes repetitive with a lot of like lower difficulty games, especially older games. Like you're taking less damage, so you don't need to look for cover. You one-shot everything, so you don't need to save ammo, right? Things like that. Mainly talking about FPSs, because those were the first few games that I played that had difficulty sliders. Because like back in the day, games didn't all the games had a single difficulty, right? You don't pick a difficulty level when you're playing Mario.
Nope. At least
that's the game.
Now.
That's the game, yeah.
I like games where you have optional. Yeah, optional difficulty is nice as well. Like Mario does that all the time. Actually, you have optional levels that you only unlock if you know how to do certain things and pick up on like environmental clues and things like that.
I like that. I like the
Elden Ring has a lot of that because like it's super easy if you just use summons and stuff, and it's a valid way to play. Just summon someone to help, summon your spirits. Good, right? It's a good way to get started with the genre as well. And you get to
just don't post
that's
on
kind
Twitter
of how I experience. Yeah, like it doesn't even differentiate like achievements or anything. Like get the achievements. The game doesn't care. It's a valid way to play. It's there. It's done on purpose, not a bug. Right? And that's I think a very good way to learn to play those games, especially if you're not playing a mage. Like because if you're playing a mage, just let the summon tank and you attack from a distance. It's you don't have to engage even with the basic like dodging mechanics and things like that. And once you're used to like the flow and like saving stamina and things like that, I went to play the other 3 Dark Souls, right? And I kind of progressed through them in a way that I was on Dark Souls 1. I summoned a couple times like other players for a few bosses that I thought were way too hard or annoying. Like there's a double boss that's so hard, like midway through the game. That like yeah, if you're not ready, you're not ready. And
dang, you're
then
going hardcore mode.
Yeah, then on Dark Souls 3, I didn't summon once. Like I saw the summoning signs. I made a point of doing that because I wanted to have that experience. And I think they do that really well from Soft because you have the option of just like summon someone or grind a few levels, right? And you get stronger and you do it, right? On Dark Souls 1, I grinded for a bit to get like I don't remember the name of the mechanic that increases your equipment load, just so I could wear like super heavy armor I dropped. And then like I wouldn't die at all. Like at the end, I was like killing every single boss first try.
Because you got good.
Because I got too strong. Because I was like way over leveled.
Yeah.
You just over leveled. Yeah.
Yeah. The summons are like training wheels. They help you get by, but then after a while, once you get comfortable, you can just go without them.
Yeah, and I think they did that really well. And like people were complaining about the DLC because it's way too difficult, but like it was meant to be hard for people who are max level. So they introduced a new mechanic where you get stronger just for the DLC portions of the game, by like getting an item and doing something with it. I haven't played it; I just heard about it. But this way, like you don't come in overpowered and one shot every boss like everyone was doing for like 2 years, right? You had to try different builds, there are new items and things like that. You actually have to engage with the mechanics because that's the experience they're trying to give you. And I think a lot of games suffer from, and a lot of players just suffer from picking the wrong difficulty, and it's very hard to actually give them the option they want. That's why I think like the way Nintendo and FromSoft do it actually works really well. Because you don't have to pick a difficulty. The game kind of adjusts to, gives you only the pressure you need, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of Call of Duties where you would go and do the training mode and it would tell you what difficulty to play as. And if every game could kind of incorporate that, where it's like, based on how you did this tutorial, this beginning area, you would probably be comfortable with this difficulty, but you could go harder to experience more of the game, or you could play the preferred normal story mode. But it can give you the option, like, you're actually good at this difficulty, and try this one. It's like medium to hard. That way, it's like you get a test trial, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of good at some of these mechanics, and kind of awful at some of the mechanics. And the game can also kind of like handheld you to learn them, so you can go to harder difficulties. Maybe there's like checkpoints of the game where it's like, you should bump the difficulty up. You're doing too good.
Yeah,
maybe this would be more fun.
That would be nice, because I'm one. I'm not going to restart a game if I decide to change difficulties midstream. It's not going to start over.
Yeah. I think forcing you to stick to difficulty. I mean, it's supposed to like not invalidate your playthrough or whatever, because like you lowered the difficulty to kill this one boss, and like, oh, now like your experience is ruined or whatever. But like, it's your game.
It's your
I should be allowed to do it.
Especially with those bosses where you were about to kill them and something happened, or the game froze or crashed, and you were like 1 second off. Like, I should be able to go back in easy and just beat it and be like, okay, I won. It's just like I got unlucky or something happened. And like, you should be able to do that. Because it's happened to me where I was like, oh my god, I literally beat him. And like the game froze. And I was like, oh no. I had to restart.
Well, I get some of that comes back to the story too. After a while, people, you just get sick of trying to beat that one boss over and over, and you're like, I just want to progress past him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because like,
especially when you have bosses. Yeah, especially when you have bosses with multiple phases, right? Because then you kill the first phase like 87 times.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, one thing I really liked on, I think it was Dark Souls 1, that the last boss is actually, it kind of has 2 phases. It's 2 bosses, one after the other. But if you kill the first one and get back there, you only get the second one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like you beat the first one, right? Who cares?
I
And
think
it's
they
the
should
last boss. Like
save.
your soul level doesn't matter. Nothing matters, right?
Yeah, I think I should save or give you an option where you can go. All right, you died. Go back to the beginning of the fight with phase 1, or just start off with phase 2.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of Dark Souls games have that makes it quite annoying as well is just you die to a boss and like 15 minutes walk back to the boss and things like that, or you have to kill enemies in between, especially harder enemies. But that's something that they no longer do. They actually introduced a mechanic in Elden Ring where there are some checkpoints that are only active if you die around them. Like you cannot fast travel to them. But if you die nearby, you have the option of spawning there instead. And there's always one in front of a boss.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I've played some games, and none of them are coming to mind, where you consume, like your resources. And if you die, they put you back, and you don't have those anymore. It's not like it's
I hate
a
that.
save checkpoint. It's just sending
Oh,
you
yeah.
back. You're just like, ah.
Yeah, that's a problem I had with the DLC for Horizon, to be honest. So if you know there's a big machine spawning after you do a certain action, right? In the quadrants, I think they call those quadrants, right?
Yeah.
So you get to lay down traps before they spawn, right?
Right.
But once you spawn the machine, it creates a save state right before you spawn the machine, but with the resources you had here, but it despawns the traps you laid, so you lose the resources. And it's so annoying. Like it happened once. Once I realized it's like wire is so useful at the end game because the best arrows you make with wire, you need it for the rope
trip
thing.
wires and the rope caster. Yeah, and if you
I'm just using my money to buy wire now.
Mm-hmm. Oh really? You didn't have enough resources because you're just using them all, and you
I
wasted
spent
them
like
all.
I spent like 4K just in
4K
wire
shards.
recently.
Jeez, this guy over here.
To kill the 5 fire claws.
Maybe I didn't beat one. Were they like harder than Thunder Draws? Thunder Draws are usually.
Oh
like,
yeah, wait. Not just, Thunder Draws are so easy.
I mean, yeah, they're slow if you know what you're doing.
You just use the tear arrows to take out the cannons.
Yeah, and you use the cannons.
Hold them
back
down with the tear and then shoot them with their own guns.
And that destroys them quick.
That's so fast. If you use both, they're basically dead at the end.
Yeah, you got to play this, Bryant. It's a really fun tactical game.
It's a fun. Yeah, it's very fun.
It's cool, and it's a cool story. Like Ricardo doesn't even know what's really going on. It gets wild.
Yeah, one thing that doesn't work well with the game is like the game kind of makes you think you can actually be mainly a melee character. Yeah, you have a bow. You should use a bow. That's the actual weapon you're supposed to use.
Yeah, you really.
The spear is just bonus. Like it doesn't work really well, at least on ultra hard. Like you take so much damage per hit. Yeah.
Even in the sequel, the spear doesn't really do anything.
That's why they added mods to spear. I think with the DLC, you can get like 50% extra damage. That's nothing.
50%.
The only kills you get. Yeah, well, it's 24 per mod. I think you can get up to 26 with a mod, and it can get you slots. I hear you can get 2 slots. I only got 1 now. Yeah. Then you get that random quest that gives it like 20% damage or something that you do somewhere.
Funny thing is, I look at the pictures and I feel like I played this game.
You probably did. It's been out for a while.
Yeah,
I mean,
4 years.
It's very easy to know if you played it because it's very different from other games. Because like, it's Breath of the Wild kind of. It's basically Breath of the Wild. It came out the same year. That's the reason it took me so long to play it as well. Because like, I played that game. It came out around the same time. It has similar mechanics. Yeah. One thing that I think it lacks polish in the game is actually the climbing mechanics.
It does get better.
It feels like it's basically just Uncharted. Like, yeah, just follow this path and whatever.
Well, okay, then if that's the case, then it's the same in the second. It just looks better. It's
like I like Breath of the Wild, like the fact that you can climb anywhere, or there are like random paths you can kind of take. Horizon, like there's this one path up the mountain, or
ropes you can use. Like Origins or Odyssey, Assassin's Creed, they They made it where you can climb anywhere now.
Yeah. I should probably play a modern Assassin's Creed as well. 'Cause
Have
I
you
only
not played any of
Assassin's
them?
Creed. I played the first one.
No, I meant like any of the
Only
modern
the
ones.
first
And
one.
the first modern
No,
one is
I played Assassin's Creed 1, and that's it.
okay. So I would go play Origins. Origins and Odyssey are actually phenomenal. Hey, look at that. He's got it. The Magic the Gathering. But yeah, no, play Origins Odyssey, and if you really like
It's
those,
the
like
Assassin's Creed set even. It just came out. I need to play it.
yeah, I want to get it.
It has a couple of interesting cards. Where's my Aristotle? Well,
Oh,
now
it's the French one.
Aristotle is
Oh,
a magic
Aristotle,
card.
yeah.
There's a Leonardo da Vinci card as well,
Mhm.
which is weird. Cleopatra as well.
Well, Leonardo because he's been like a lot of the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they made special versions of each. So there's a Leonardo in Italian, Aristotle in Greek, and things
He's
like
in
that. So it's
Odyssey.
quite interesting.
Yeah, but no, please play it. Origins is awesome. You get to climb the pyramids, and they're ginormous, and they're shiny, and they're awesome.
It doesn't matter. I've been there. I've been there.
I mean, yeah, same. But like, it's cool to experience them when they were more prime than they are now. When they were shiny.
And you go in though.
Yeah,
You actually go in.
you can.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome game. It's huge. Same with the Odyssey, phenomenal, most beautiful game besides Horizon I've played. But then the problem with was it Valhalla? That one, it gets
Ubisoft
too
games. They
big.
get repetitive.
It gets
They get
too
very
big.
repetitive.
And unlike Odyssey, where you can go to different islands and there's different scenery, I feel like I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over, and so much is happening. Like there was one part of the game I put probably like 10 hours, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I'm like, oh wow, I had now another 60 hours to go, and it wasn't as good as that one moment. And I'm like, okay, this game is just all over the place. It feels like I'm doing side quests everywhere, but it's technically the main story.
Yeah.
I'm 70
I
hours
think-
in and still haven't beaten the game.
Yeah. That's one thing that Horizon does really well is the open world. Like it feels how it's supposed to feel because it's a post-apocalyptic world. Like it feels empty, and it's supposed to feel empty.
But when you do get to places, it's really cool.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's intentionally empty. But there's something sprinkled out all around the world. It feels nice. Yeah, I really like the way the game feels like when you're walking around and doing stuff. I eventually grinded the tree where you're allowed to like just summon the thing to ride as well because it was very annoying just running everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's so annoying. But how do you think they achieve that feeling of like they got the right flow between it being empty and it fits with the story? And like 'cause
I
that's
think
not
it's
easy.
the
A lot of
sto-
games feel empty.
It's the type of game. I think it's the type of game. So like the story and the vibe they're going for,
It just fits perfectly.
it's with an empty world.
Hmm.
If you add the same kind of world, like same density of things you do, but you had a different story, it would feel off.
I agree.
And that's the issue with a lot of modern games as well. Because like to be fair, like the real world is empty. Like if you go outside of big cities, like a lot of like countryside and stuff, you're not seeing like people asking for help to like do stuff everywhere.
That might just be like the attention span of people nowadays. They expect something constantly, and I get it. But
Yeah.
like, enjoy the nature of the game too. Go out there and just walk and experience. It's okay.
I think that's a great point. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but there's a lot of videos on reels in general on Facebook and Instagram where it's someone like giving a talk on the upper
And then
half, and it's
GTA.
like a game playing on the bottom.
The
like,
cars
come
going
on, you know, like
Oh
please,
my
you don't
God.
have like a 1 minute attention span, really.
Dude, that's one of my friends. He doesn't like Rogue One
Listen.
because he didn't catch his attention in the first 5 minutes.
Rogue One's such a good movie.
Right? I was like, bro, you know, like, and he doesn't like Interstellar. I was
It's
like,
the best
stop.
thing Disney did to Star Wars.
They did it. I'm excited
Which
for the
isn't
next
saying
Andor.
much.
I know, right? uh, but yeah, we need to like be able to capture attention spans while not also like causing the same problem where people can't
Yeah.
contain their attention spans. I don't know. Just make a fun game. Have something cool. Maybe like a notification so you could be in nature. And it's like things are happening in the city like a couple miles away, but it doesn't need your immediate attention. But at least it got you like, okay,
Yeah.
there's something else to do.
Spider-Man does it really well,
Yes.
actually, because you're web swinging, so you have to pay attention and do stuff. And like you can fast travel eventually, but
I've
didn't-
never
I
fast
only
traveled.
fast travel. Yeah, I only did it on the second playthrough because I had 2 achievements to platinum it, so I just had to complete it on New Game Plus on the hardest
This
difficulty.
guy, look at this guy, completing all the
I
challenges.
just said it.
Ultra hard mode, New Game Plus, Platinums. I didn't realize you were like that.
I'm not like that. I always play on the hardest difficulty. That is true, but like,
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man was like not a normal game for me. Like, it's my favorite Marvel character.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Maybe
you're
I-
gonna love the second one.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure now because like they did it so like they did Captain America so well recently. Like it's hard to pick one now. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Think about the movie
I
version.
like Iron Man, but like Iron Man is a dick. Like there's that. Oh, like Steve Rogers, especially like Prince Evan is like so good. By the way, have you watched? Oh no, yes, I cannot bring up spoilers. Spoilers.
Small tangent.
I know. If you know, you know.
Deadpool spoilers.
Have you seen it, Bryant?
Which one?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and the Wolverine.
I have not yet.
Okay, you gotta
No.
go watch it before
Do
you
it.
can mention anything.
Do it.
Go do it.
Yeah, I do recommend it. I'd watch it again even.
I've seen it 4 times.
Seen it 4 times already, huh?
Yeah, I had to because I saw it when it came out, and then the next time someone was like, "You want to go see it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then 2 other people were like, "We gotta go see it." And I was like, "Look, I had a great time. I'll see it as many times as you guys want." So
I was sick when it came out, so I only watched it last week.
no, watch it again. I think the second time's the best because the first time you just like experience it the first time, but the second
Well, like I
time,
got like 90% of the Easter eggs there.
yeah. There was only
So,
2 people
you know-
that were like, "Eh, it was okay." I was like, something didn't hit because that was really good. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I
even
mean,
take the
depending on
cameos out.
your mindset. Yeah, I think some people didn't like because it was kind of a cameo fest.
But also, that's what you were expecting. Like, it's Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool is just goofy and like out there, and Wolverine is badass. But like, what were you gonna expect? This isn't like an X-Men
Like,
movie.
Half of the title is a cameo, technically.
Exactly. So I'm like, you couldn't just go in expecting
Oh,
like an Interstellar.
It's a
movie.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that was quite interesting watching it here in the UK, it's R-rated in the US, right?
Yeah.
It's 15. It's rated 15 years old here in the UK.
What?
Yeah.
I can see kids are like, yeah, you're old enough, 15.
I
You've seen
mean,
it all.
it's like some violence, quote unquote, realistic. I noticed a few issues with the CGI and with some of the ragdolls and stuff.
Oh yeah,
quite-
same
quite
at
funny.
the end.
Yeah, with the skeletons and stuff, and like, yeah,
Oh,
the scene where he kills like a bunch of people. That one.
Yeah,
the
that one. Yeah, out
fight.
of all, yeah. There's so many scenes where he kills
yeah.
people.
Yeah, but that one, the first one.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I noticed some of the ragdolls were a little bit off. So it's like quote unquote realistic violence, and I think it's the swearing, to be honest. Like
Oh yeah, they
I
curse
think
a
just
lot.
having a lot of cursing, and here in the UK, like everyone curses
Yes,
a
that's
lot.
probably why they're like, whatever,
Yeah.
you can handle
Like,
it.
oh, like, yeah, I mean, there's that's the worst thing. That's the weirdest thing about the UK. So, there's the name of the show, Naked Attraction. Now, I don't know. It's a random show where like there are people naked and people are judging them like on TV at like 8 p.m.
What? It's not. It's
Yeah.
definitely not Naked and Afraid. Maybe Naked and Judged. I don't know.
Naked something. I don't know.
Interesting.
I never watched it, but I was browsing the channels once
How
and
do
I
you
saw
feel
like
about
some
this, Bryant?
thingies.
How can we pull this back to game dev?
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly. Yeah, that's fine.
Naked and Judged.
so going back to difficulty levels. To be honest, on difficulty levels, if you're making an indie game, what I would say is just don't bother. Like, create the experience you want players to have.
You can have the playtesters be the ones to figure out the difficulty.
Exactly.
You
If
can
it's
see how they
too hard
play
for
and see where
exactly, because it's gonna be easy for you most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you know all the secrets, you know how the code works and stuff. And one thing that I do like as well, and it's very hard to get right, is you have things like puzzles.
Oh,
the
some people
effective
hate
difficult
puzzles. I have a
level.
friend can't solve them for some reason.
Yeah,
And he thinks it's the game developer's fault, and it might be. But I'm like, look,
a lot of the
just
time it
puzzles
is.
aren't easy for some people. It's okay. I get it.
and it depends on the puzzle as well, because like I think the puzzles in Horizon are extremely easy. They're just turn the things around and it's like
Too
follow
easy.
the light.
So those Spider-Man ones.
Yeah, that one's in Spider-Man.
Those
It's
are
like
garbage.
it's yes, like it's basically
Don't even
an
put 'em in.
excuse to have another. Yeah, it's just an excuse.
Mechanic.
It's a mobile game.
I think sometimes with puzzles too is
experience.
they draw you back to earlier in the story when you saw something, and then it's now a puzzle later in the story, and you're just like, I didn't know what it was then, and now you want me to remember what it was now.
You're like, you should be paying attention. I'm like, I thought
Yeah,
I was.
that's
all right. I have a
quite
game,
common. Yeah.
Sand something. What was that called?
I think games that aren't puzzle games that have puzzles in them, most of the time the puzzles are either like lame and uninteresting, usually
Because I think
way too easy, or they're just like
hard.
randomly hard. Like, because it's easy for the developers. I have to be fair, that's like one of the hardest things to design in games. Because like for you, it's obvious, like because you designed it.
I think the hints are awful for the really hard puzzles. Like they should have enough where the player can get in there and go like, okay, I know where we're starting from, and they can go from there. But sometimes they just throw you in and like figure it out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what you just designed. What pieces have to be moved and what angle and.
Well,
that type of puzzle is boring most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have this thing, you need to get it there. It's just a random mobile game.
I think sometimes you got to kind of build up to a puzzle. Like the game I was thinking of was Star Sand. And I think at one point, you have to go to like this room that you find midpoint of game. And in the right conditions, the floor, shines with like the map of the puzzle's answer. Then later you find a door, but you can only go to this door at midnight or something because it has to be dark out. Okay. And then you can see the symbols that you have to remember that you saw on the floor earlier in the game. And it's just like, oh man, it becomes, a pain. And you wind up going back and kind of retracing your steps. And that gets a little old when you have to do something.
Yeah.
Especially on games like there's not that many puzzles in the game. So when you kind of throw something odd like that, it's like as a player, I wasn't really expecting that from the game either. So
and is it mandatory or is it like optional content?
No, it's mandatory because it's the next part of the the stage of the game. It's not like it's hard once you kind of figure it out, but it kind of stumps you for that time frame of like what are you expected to do?
Yeah, I think the best
randomly retrace your steps, then you see that and you're like, oh, that's the answer to the door puzzle.
I think the best puzzles in games are the ones that don't feel like puzzles, right? Like if you have a puzzle section, like Spider-Man is like very guilty of that. Cause, like you go to your lab, you enter a separate menu, and it opens a puzzle. You do the puzzle, and you get like negligible amounts of experience for doing it.
Like nothing. I think
you get an achievement at the end.
Yeah,
I got the achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Door codes. Some games have door codes, and you gotta find
door codes are interesting sometimes. It depends on how it's.
It depends. It depends on how they bury that code, and you're supposed to find it. Because sometimes you're not intelligent on why let me get so much further in a game without kind of forcing me to that puzzle. Or at least exposing me to a door code. Mm-hmm. Then you get up to a door and it's like, oh, well, you got to go back here and look here. And it's written as trash on the bathroom wall. And then you can go there and see it. It's like, oh, great, thanks.
Yeah, that's one thing.
With a notebook.
I think FromSoft does puzzles really well because like most of them are optional. Like, you hear a character say something, you could actually investigate, or you could just experience the game. It's up to you to decide, and then it's okay. Like they have like some ridiculous things, like a lot of invisible walls and stuff, and like you don't actually figure that out. Like read about it, or someone left a message on the floor and you saw it saying, "Oh, rolling required ahead" or something.
Reminds me of the first Metroid game. If any of you ever played the original Metroid, rolling through the walls as a ball because the walls were just. They're all the same block, that it was a 2D game.
Yeah.
But some of them you could roll through.
Because of just
the collision. Later in the game, you just wind up rolling against every wall you find just to see if you can go through it.
Was there anything cool behind them? Or just fall to the map?
Oh yeah, it would take you to different parts of the game and progress the game story. And then over time, you would learn. It's kind of like Super Mario Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you jump on a pipe that you couldn't go down? But once you figured you could go down a pipe, you're like, I'm going to go try to jump and go down every pipe now.
True.
Yeah.
You're like, what's this pipe? What's in that pipe?
In Super Mario, you didn't really progress the game. It was just an added stage. In Metroid, that would take you to whole other barrier, areas of the base you were in towards like the end, guy, basically. You just had to know
they got better. They got a lot better with that later on as well, because like they learned to design that type of game. Because when there are clues, you notice things in the map that you cannot interact with, and then you get a power up, and then you think of all the things you saw before and actually go back and interact. That's how it's supposed to be experienced.
The original Metroid didn't have that. I mean, they had some that were like, you'd sit against the wall, and when you were in the ball, you could drop your bomb and it would bounce you up. Well, if you bounced up like 3 times, then you can go through the wall right there. Like, okay, great. How I found it, I have no idea, but...
Who knows? Speedrunners?
You need to get the power, Nintendo power.
Yeah, come on.
That was a fun game, but it was just kind of a lot of those little weird puzzles that you just are not intuitive.
But is it a puzzle, though? If it's unsolvable and it's just trial and error, is it actually a puzzle?
Well,
I don't think
it's
it's
a challenge you have to overcome.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a better word
it's
for it.
basically DLC. You have to buy a magazine to know how to do it.
I like how they do in Last of Us, where they like you have a vault. No, actually, no. You have like a little note that says like the secret to the code is the dog's birthday or whatever, and then you see somewhere around the room is like a calendar and it has a dog's birthday. That's cool to me. You can go around searching for it, and it gave you the clue. It's not like good luck. See if you can find it, and then you go and find it, and you put it in, and you get something.
And that's something too. You look at that calendar, you'll see the dog's birthday, and you'll be like,
circled. Okay. Easy, yeah.
Right.
Complicated.
Yeah, I like the last cauldron and for the DLC in Horizon as well, because it has a lot of things where you have to just find ways to progress through like the areas.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a puzzle because you need to find where to go and stuff, but it's obvious. Even though the climbing mechanics are not ideal, I think indoors they work well. It's very hard to see the little like differences in tone on rocks that you can climb compared to like indoors where everything's yellow. If you can climb it, it's yellow.
Yep, everything's yellow now. Yellow paint and everything. Walk on this, jump here, open this thing. Yellow paint. People like it. I don't really mind it. It helps me go where I need to go.
Yeah, well, one thing that it would be nice if you could disable that.
That's
like
true.
Disable, so it's a clue instead of being obvious.
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying attention, you still see it, but you don't like get an arrow basically telling you where to go.
Yeah, which is pretty much what it's doing. Here, come here. And I'm like, okay. It would be cool if they can incorporate like particles or something from the game that makes sense. Because Ghost does that well with the wind. The wind will tell you where to go. So maybe if games instead of doing yellow paint, they did something else. Like if it's a space game, maybe it's just like lasers or something, like kind of like guiding you, or which is not too obvious, but it still fits the world.
Yeah, I think a lot of games try to do that with companions as well. Like the companions, like reminding you where to go and things like that. But it gets so annoying.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma did that every time. Like, go this way, and it would run off, and I'm like, whoa, come back. We're not going that way. And then they get attacked.
Hey,
like,
listen. Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. There's a cave down there. Let's go. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go.
Some games will give you like those environmental clues, which are nice.
Yeah. I think if you can, and I think that's an issue with modern games as well, because like when you get closer to photorealism, anything that isn't photorealistic, it's gonna look out of place. So it's too obvious. So it's like painted yellow.
Yeah. Who did this?
I like the ropes, like because it's clearly someone put it there, like especially now around like where you start around the Nora. It's like, oh yeah, there are ropes because like they climbed the rocks, so they added the ropes to make it easier. It feels like kind of realistic compared to like a random, like it's some weird texture they put on rocks that you can climb. And my main issue is that, well, you can only climb in 4 directions as well, right? Up, down, left, right. So like you try and like it is linear, but sometimes you have to press jump, and sometimes you don't.
Oh, that
Sometimes
always
you
throws
just
me off.
press it.
Just jump
Like, well,
off.
like I mean, she kind of does this and like reaches out, right? But it's just do it. Just, like, no, don't make me press space or whatever button it is on PS4. 5.
I think it's X. But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it yet, but who knows? I just also don't like some games. I don't need for it to be like perfectly realistic for me to get immersed. I want it,
Yeah,
the cutscenes to be realistic, the characters, but like when it comes to the world I'm interacting with, I want it to like guide me so I can keep going and continue the story.
yeah.
I'm really not into
Exactly.
like I want to spend 400 hours in one open world game. I
But the best games are the ones that do that and you don't realize.
That's true.
Like
See,
Elden Ring does that. You
I
get
can
out,
spend a lot of
there's a
hours.
big tree.
True. You like just go
It
that
just
way.
depends on the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does depend. Hmm. Are we excited about any new games coming out? Like Outlaws? I know everybody's mixed about that one. I wonder how they're gonna do the whole open world and the difficulty and the yellow paint. I'm curious about that game because it's an Ubisoft
Nice.
game and it could either be really good or really bad.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft has been getting stuck in their ways because like everything they did was a huge innovation, and then like they're basically repainting the same game all the time. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of innovation here and there, but if you're playing older games, it's probably extremely boring. If you skip half of them, it's great.
Yeah, I mean I agree actually.
I get every other game.
Honestly, like I don't know how I feel about AC Shadows. Star Wars, I'm excited because I've always wanted an open world Star Wars game. The question is, will it be, will it be
I
worth
mean,
the money?
technically, Jedi Survivor is an open world game.
It is.
Technically,
It is. I also really enjoyed that game, but
like
also it felt like guardrail.
it
Like
has a linear story, but
yeah,
yeah.
no, that was also really good. So if it's something like that, I can enjoy it. And that was made by EA, who I didn't expect much. So maybe Ubisoft
Yeah,
could
exactly.
deliver.
Like,
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll wait till the day of and the reviews come out. I'm like, is it good? Is it not? Because I'm seeing gameplay now, but it's like apparently Ubisoft paid a lot of people to like do good reviews, so I can't
yeah,
really trust all of it.
yeah, no, you can only trust like independent reviews for games. 'Cause, like
Yeah.
80%. It's not that they're paid, but like they're afraid that if they say something about a game, they won't get a review key,
Oh,
so
true.
they
That makes more
miss the
sense.
opportunity to review the next one and losing the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
just
really
a
say I have
shame.
any games that I'm watching. We'll
Mhm.
see.
Yeah, I'm not waiting for anything. Like the thing I'm waiting for is Spider-Man 2 to come out for PC.
Yeah, you're gonna love that game.
And
It's a really good
technically,
game.
yeah. I'm also waiting for Baldur's Gate 3 to become cross-platform.
Nice.
Have you played it though?
So, no. So
What?
I'm waiting. So I'm waiting for it to have crossplay, so I can actually play with my friends who have a PlayStation.
Is that ever gonna happen? I thought they like.
It should be coming in a couple months. Actually,
Okay, okay, good.
they said it will be after the next patch. Probably not in the patch, but the
Gotcha.
following or a little
Well,
bit later, and the next one is coming end of month now.
yeah. Let me know when you when it happens because I want to play again. I'm down for another
Baldur's Gate?
campaign. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
I hear it's very good.
I haven't played 2.
It's a
Well,
phenomenal. I've played it twice now. Well, once and then like a half. We didn't finish. My cousin just stopped getting on. I was like, okay.
played
But
the first one ages ago.
oh really? You played the old G ones?
Oh yeah.
It's good. It's Dungeons and Dragons with like
Dale and man, that was a good game too.
beautiful
You know if
cutscenes.
they're gonna update the game because like they just released a new version of
I think
D&D,
they're gonna
right?
keep doing patches and updates, but they're not making DLC, and they're kind of moving towards whatever the next project is.
Yeah. That's what they said. I think they'll finish the cross-play thing, and
Yeah.
that's gonna be it.
Hmm.
If they actually release that, because people are afraid they won't. But they promised to deliver that,
If they
and
promise they're gonna
considering what
deliver.
they did, they're gonna do it. Like they're doing so well with that. They're keeping up with a lot of the. They're not like other game developers that like overpromise and underdeliver. I think they're
No, they know what they're doing. That's
reasonable.
why they stopped the DLC. They're probably like, hold on, we can't keep
Yeah.
like doing this. We're doing patches and then figuring out
Yeah,
our next
and
project.
if you don't feel inspired as well, just go to the next game because like they're doing a lot of those like quote unquote CRPGs. they've been doing them for like 10 years now or more, right?
Yeah, it's about time
So,
for something new. I can only imagine.
yeah. I might do Divinity 3.
I'll have
Divinity
to pick
3.
up the game. Let's see.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Divinity Original Sin.
Okay.
'Cause that's basically Baldur's Gate 3, but not D&D.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Kind of like Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. It's not D&D.
I never got into Warhammer.
I've just
Never
gotten into it, and
that's my kind of game. I just never got into it.
I already use cardboard crack. I cannot use miniature crack as well.
No. Just get into the games and the
Only
books.
there's only there's only an amount of money you can spend on hobbies, and Warhammer is way more expensive.
Yeah, just get Space Marines too. You can still make your character in the game. You don't have to spend like money. It's a cool universe. It's like if Star Wars was rated R. Yeah, if Star Wars was rated R, and like the future of humanity was just like not optimistic, and an atheist.
Like most, to be fair, like most futuristic like interstellar travel games.
Yeah,
always looking bad.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think the best future you can see like for humanity is like Star Trek.
I mean, yeah, it's just
world peace because like we found aliens and they want to.
I mean, that seems like where it's gonna go. Like if we become smarter and realize like, hey, hurting people just isn't good. We've had like countless wars in history for this to like see that. And if every intelligent species understands that, I can see that turning to Star Trek, world peace. But you know, it's not going to always be like that. But for the most part, for the most intelligent species, it just seems right. You don't have to be smart. You just have to have empathy, have emotional intelligence to understand that. Which, I mean, we do that with our propaganda, with our own shows. And so hopefully we can get that. If not, we'll get our Warhammer world, which I do not want. The Warhammer universe is awful. Just death everywhere.
Helldiver world.
Yeah, even Helldiver. Helldiver is interesting, bro. The whole lore of it's crazy. Like, there's a rebellion on the Earth, and there's rebels everywhere, and the automatons are like, we didn't want to turn into this, and they're using us. And I'm like, yo, we're actually extremely the bad guys. Like, I knew it was a satire, but I'm like, dang. We're not.
One thing I do need to find time to play as well was so I got 2 new games past couple weeks. I paid like $5 for the Stick of Truth and Fractured Butthole.
What?
The South Park games.
Oh, of course. That makes sense now. I was like, the Fractured Butthole? What?
No, it's Fractured Butthole.
Oh, gotcha.
That makes sense.
All right.
That makes sense.
It's a beautiful title.
They're supposed to be great games, actually.
No, yeah, I heard they were actually phenomenal.
Yeah, and I got them for so cheap that like I have to play them now because like half of my Steam library's games I haven't played. To be fair, like
same
20 to 30% of the games I haven't played are just free games I added to my library and get to play or like played once.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're there forever.
Yeah. Unless they decide to remove them.
Should probably finish Max Payne 3. I played like 95% of the game. I think I got to the last level on my friend's PC.
I never got into Max Payne. I tried it ages ago. I don't know. For some reason, it didn't grab me.
I like the second or first one. I don't remember which one I played when I was a kid. And I got Max Payne 3 when it came out. And it's fun to me because like it's in Brazil as well. Right? It's funny because like it doesn't feel so bad. Like the dubbing was clearly made by people who were probably not born in Brazil at all.
Oh, it's that
kind
bad.
Of spoke Portuguese. It's so bad. It's like when you see like anything from a different country, you don't. I started realizing that it's very easy to notice bad dubs in your own language or language you speak.
Oh, definitely, yeah. When I hear some English dubs, I'm like, what is this? This is not no. I'm like, this show did not come out in English. This must be a dub over.
Like,
it is.
Yeah. And like, that's the Max Payne 3 dub is like the people speaking Portuguese. It's so bad. Terrible.
Is it even Portuguese? Do they like BS?
Yeah, and it's funny as well because like the plot is so like stereotypical. Like you go into favelas and stuff, and like it's like totally based in Rio, but it doesn't. It's not happening in Rio as well. Like in a completely different city that doesn't have favelas like that. like not in that format that they have in the game.
Yeah.
It's like it feels a bit off if you know like how it's supposed to look. It's a fun game, and like people scream stuff in Portuguese, and it feels off while you're shooting at them. It's a funny game. It's a funny game. It makes me think of when I played like Medal of Honor and the original Call of Duty as well. Like people speak German there. It's probably a terrible dub as well.
Right, it probably is. We just never noticed.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably better in 5 called World at War. Like I feel like the
Yeah.
1, 2,
Oh,
3.
yeah.
Yeah, but once they got to once COD 4 was successfully, like, all right, we need to like make sure this is right. It sounds
Yeah.
good.
But when they did World at War, I was really hoping they would make a couple more World War II ones. But
And they did, right, with Vanguard, but like it's not the same as World
it's
at War.
like full game, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it's like I'm especially nowadays, like I'm not looking for an FPS to play like online and like competitive and stuff like that. I just want a fun, like historically accurate World War II experience, and that doesn't exist anymore. And it's fallen out of favor actually, even on movies, right? It was so, especially after Saving Private Ryan, like everything was World War II. Like
I think
every single movie.
the last good one I saw was Fury. That one was really good. I mean, I guess what's the Christopher Nolan one? Dunkirk was like a good, I guess, World War II movie, but it wasn't the war movie. It was about the civilians saving the people on the beaches.
Yeah.
But in that, like, I don't.
And that's an interesting thing to have, but like sometimes, like, and like I'm a big fan of Band of Brothers as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's like it never make something better than it can't be. It's impossible to make something better than Band of Brothers. Like it's so real, feels so real. It kind of is.
Yeah, it feels like you're time traveling. You're just watching what was happening while
Exactly.
it was happening. So
yeah.
But yeah, I wish we had more games like that. It was one of my favorite like time periods to experiences in the game because it's just like
there's actually a game on my wish list that's kind of about that as well. Let me find it here.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I actually took it out because I decided not to buy it. It was well, there are two. There's the name of that game. So there's one that's was made by a Polish developer. It's about it's an alternative future where the Nazis won. You're like in the 80s or something, exploring the ruins of Warsaw.
Yeah.
It's like technically a World War II game, but it's not really. But it kind of feels like that. It's like that arc. So there's an arc in X-Men Evolution with like an alternate. I think it's X-Men Evolution, right? That some character time travels and like
X-Men
helps the Nazi win the war.
Oh, okay,
there's like an arc in X-Men Evolution about
it's gotta
that.
Be, yeah.
The cartoon from like
back in the day.
01, 02, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. So it's the one that came after the one that they
rebooted.
They not really rebooted, right? The one that they brought back in 3-4 months ago. It's the one after that.
Okay, gotcha.
X-Men Evolution is fun because it's the one that was airing when I was a kid, so it's like I kind of connect with that. Aired well in Brazil. It aired right after or right before Static Shock as well, which was super
Static
fun.
Shock was
back to back. It was so good.
Yeah. You ever watch that, Bryant?
No.
Oh man, you missed out.
Yeah,
it was when I was growing up.
Yeah, it came out quite late. It's very recent, which is quite sad because it's like a superhero that really deserves a movie. To be honest.
Yeah, instead of putting like other characters and giving him a black character, they could just use the great ones that we already have, like Static Shock.
Exactly. There's so many good ones.
That's a game for him, honestly. Like Spider-Man, there should be movies, more shows. Keep them coming.
I think the game would be hard to make because like a lot of the
like Infamous.
mechanics...
No, it'd be great. I feel like it could be great. Have you played Infamous?
It's a very creative kind of power because like you're playing with electricity, right? So it would either feel like you can't do enough, or because I think it depends on the type of game they try to make, I guess. Because with Spider-Man, it's very easy because it's like you punch people, you climb walls, you have webs.
We do electric punches, rocket like launches using electricity, electric grenades with the blast. You played Infamous, right?
I played just a little.
Oh, if you played all of them, you can like it's a lot of fun, and I feel like they could do something like that with Static Shock. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, I guess we'll see with this Wolverine Insomniac game. If they could do a good job, then they can pretty much do any hero for the most part. But if it does, right now I'm looking at some gameplay and it's really early, but I don't know if it really feels like you're using your claws properly. I don't know.
I don't know. My last experience with the Wolverine game was the golden age of movie tie-ins on the PS2.
Yep.
Yeah. So I played the X-Men Origins tie-in game like all the way through.
Was it a good experience?
It was actually a lot of fun. A few of them were good. Like the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King was very good.
I heard that one was amazing. I might even play a little bit of it.
Yeah. No, that one's so good. So fun to play. And it has multiplayer.
Yeah.
So you play with your friends and like you're Aragorn and they're playing Legolas and you're playing Orc.
Yeah.
So fun.
Which one was that? Lord of the Rings? Which one?
Return of the King for the PS2. Because like the PS2 is one of the consoles I actually interacted with the most.
Yes.
I think it's the one I played the most actually because I played way too many games for that. Because like with N64, like you have 5 or 6 games at all. So I think it was like that. With the original Xbox as well, like you have like 4 games. PS2, wait, whoa, I played like 14, 15, maybe 20 plus games. PS2. I think it's the console I play the most games for. And like, of course, technically for PC as well. I play way more games for PC, but it's not the same.
Yeah, no. Console feels more like the gaming experience. Until now, like you put a controller to PC, it's fine. But
come on.
Oh my goodness.
It's the best experience.
You have a whole number pad on your mouse? How big is that mouse? Let me see it.
It has 12 numbers on the
side. He's got basically a keyboard on his mouse.
It has 12 side buttons and an extra button here as well.
Oh my goodness.
To be fair, and there are these 2 arrows as well, but they just increase the sensitivity. Oh I was trying to make it so it doesn't do that, and you could actually use them as buttons, but there was no option. To be fair, I was expecting a lot more from this. It doesn't have that many options. Like the software is not very good.
More?
I mean, the software is not good because it's not adding 12 buttons
as missing
options.
Okay.
But you're like mapping it to regular buttons. So like I mapped them from 1 to a plus basically on my keyboard. I have them here, and then I have it. But the issue is like you're playing a game, and then like you go to press E and you press 4 instead.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're doing the action from this button here, which sometimes is like change weapon.
Oh no!
It happened a lot in Elden Ring. It happened a lot.
Oh no!
Times.
That's where consoles lost me. When consoles had too many buttons on their remotes, I'm just like, I'm done. I don't need this many.
Because like
I feel like they have.
To be fair,
I started with them only having 2.
The Genesis is weird because it's like the Genesis has 2 versions, right? There's one with 3 and one with 6. It was a Genesis. It was like that.
That's a lot.
And like you only needed the 6 button one to play like fighting games, right?
Genesis.
And you have because then you have punches at the bottom, I think, and then you kick at the top, and then you have low, medium, high.
Sega controller.
Yes. But the original the original Master System was crazy as well because like you could plug in an Atari controller because it uses the same input and it actually works. Like you can play within I think it's a 2600 controller. It's a Switch controller. It has like these. I have no idea what these 2 buttons are. Like there's a button here.
Like so many buttons. I'm like, I don't care.
Like, I'm supposed to press it with my ring finger or something.
Right? Yeah.
I got it to play Stray and.
Yeah, you got the on the top. whatever you have on the keypad, and then
But this is the biggest contribution the PS2 got. I think it's like controller format. Like I know it's like basically the PS1 controller, but when we got to this standard of like 2 shoulder buttons, 4 face, and 4 arrows, that's more than enough. Like the original Xbox had 4 buttons in front, but it had a black and a white button on top for some reason.
right.
Like it had 6, but instead of being like the Genesis, which is like 1 shoot 3, it's like 1 shoot 3 up here. It has 3.
Yeah.
It's weird to press. It's to be fair, like face buttons are a little obsolete nowadays with the amount of actions you want to do in a game. Because like you're just using the shoulder buttons because then you can press them at the same time. I was finding it very hard, so I was playing Elden Ring at my friend's place, and he has a PS5 this Friday.
Yeah.
And like you need to hold circle to run, right? But how do I hold circle and look around with the right analog stick? Like I had to hold it like this.
Yeah.
It's not very convenient. Like if I need to move my hand outside of that, just use a PC. Like I just do this to look around, and this to move forward, and this to run. And that's it. A lot
Yep.
easier.
Look at you.
And to be fair,
Becoming
nowadays
PC
you can actually it's actually compatible, right? I played Fortnite with mouse and keyboard on PS4.
pro. Wait, you can do that, right? You can just plug it into the USB port and it works.
Just plug in a mouse and a keyboard and it actually works. Uses the same keybinds and
I need
everything.
to get used to the keyboard. I feel like I'd be better, but I'm just so.
I mean, I
used to
grew
it.
up playing on keyboard. Like,
Exactly,
my brother
yeah.
was a PC gamer. Like I was playing Duke Nukem when I was like 5.
Mhm.
Nukem
Yeah.
3D, the one that's basically Doom or Quake.
It'll take me some time. I'm getting there. I was playing Hell Let Loose on my mouse and keyboard, and I probably shouldn't have done that game. It was so hard. I just kept
Yeah,
dying.
yeah. I get started with something like simpler, but yeah, it's still like I think like especially what we were talking about like is the open world games there. I think we got to a point where we were talking about that like way back. We had that episode about open world games and everything. Like everything was open world, even when it didn't make sense for the game. I think we brought it back a little bit. It's great. Like, games aren't afraid of having levels.
I like
Yeah.
Quite
levels.
interesting.
I like knowing that, like, here's one level.
Yeah, depending on it works depending on the game, right? And like even when the game is open world, allowing it to have kind of levels as well, because like I
I
think
feel like Jedi
they
Survival
kind of
did
do
that.
that with Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And Spider-Man kind of does that as well. Like even though it's all open, like you go into areas and that's kind of a level,
Right.
Or something changes in the world, like there's a terror attack when Mayor Osborn is it's like campaign royale, I think, right?
Yeah.
For
No, I enjoy that a
Osborn.
lot.
And yeah, that scene is so good. And when you go back as Miles as well.
Hmm. I like
But
the idea that Uncharted and Last of Us have, where it's very linear, and then some of the linear moments have an open world. So like you can go through this one spot, go through all the buildings, and then you go back onto
yeah,
a linear path, and then they should have
yeah,
more of it.
that's yeah.
Cause that's cool.
I think that's great. I think that's basically how Jedi Survivor kind of feels. It
Hmm.
has a little bit of a Metroidvania kind of feeling as well, because like you unlock new abilities and you can go back and like unlock that area and like grab that item or something. I think that feels good. But I think one thing that makes it a lot easier to explore because it is a lot bigger than like the original Metroid, right? The maps that it actually shows you. So if you open the map in Jedi Survivor, I don't remember if it's the same in Fallen Order, but it shows you because it cuts the maps into small areas, and between the areas, if you haven't gone through, either gonna have a green line or a red line. It's gonna be a red line if you don't have the ability to cross.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability necessary, it's green. You just have to figure out what to do when you get there. But you're not just like exploring aimlessly. I think that kind of works. It does make it a lot simpler though, so it could be a negative depending on how you want to play the game.
Certain games
That is something you should be able to disable through the difficulty slider. Disable hints on power-ups or something. It's not because it's not just knowing that you have the ability. It's knowing that there's another area that comes out of this one.
Right. Well, Star Wars Old Republic was kind of that way, wasn't it, too? Couldn't you just kind of fly? Or not Old Republic, that was the online one.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, that might have been what I was thinking. Yeah. You could go to whatever planet you want to do, right? But you had to have a story to kind of glue that all together, or it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Open world has to still have a story. It can't just be
exactly
just this empty space.
Fully open world. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in some games, I guess it can, but
yeah, it depends on the game.
Because they're meant to be that way.
I think one thing that kind of works with is like a lot of modern open world games, every single area, you kind of have to go to every single area during the story. GTA 5 kind of has that. Or like 90% of the map, it kind of forces you to explore it at least a little bit.
They definitely do.
But if you compare to a few other games where, even like Horizon, right? I assume, to be fair, I'm doing a lot of side quests and doing the objectives and stuff. That's why I unlocked all the whole map. But I'm pretty sure, like the bottom left, I wouldn't be going all the way down there if I wasn't like actively exploring. And it's nice because like it feels like you discover something, especially if the map isn't fully
revealed.
Not even revealed, right? You don't, because one thing that Elden Ring does really well is that when you open the map the first time, the game is like this big. You only see this area. Once you touch the next area, it grows, and then it grows.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
Keeps growing.
You never really know how big it is.
Exactly. You only know how big it is after you basically complete the game. Not really complete, but when you get to the last few areas. Right? So, I mean, it can feel, because it feels like you're progressing a lot more. And depending on the player, like, it could feel like, oh, the game's too short. Like, I played like for half an hour and I have 80% of the map completed.
And you're like, oh, wait.
And then you explore it, then you play like half an hour more and the map triples in size or something. Right?
The crazy thing about Elden Ring is it's also underground. So, like, you think you've seen it all.
Yeah, there's like 3 layers.
Oh,
yeah.
My goodness. It's too
So
much.
good. So good. Like, the underground areas are a lot smaller. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Outside of the dungeons. It's like, I'm mainly talking about underground areas where you can fast travel to. Right?
Yes.
I think it works well. I think maps and open world games are the hardest thing to do. I think that's the main reason I wouldn't recommend making an open world game.
Okay, don't make WoW, don't make an open world. Make a small, simple game. Make a tower defense.
Make
and
Mario.
Don't worry about the difficulty, just make it, and then adjust the difficulty later on.
I think the biggest problem with starting off with an open world is, depending on what you're doing, right? But I mean, a lot of content for an open world. And I think, is the biggest probably challenge is there's just a lot of assets that you have to have.
Especially if you're alone.
Yeah. You shouldn't start with the idea of making an open world game. You should be starting with the idea of making a game. And if that takes you to an open world, then that might make sense.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, I think you can come up with the concept of an open world, or at least I've seen some indie, smaller open world games that are open world, but they're not so crazy. You know, it can be done, but I do still say that you have to have a plan for it. Yeah. You know, you can't just. Yeah. I think a lot of open worlds wind up being more that MMO style game too, and I don't think you want to get invested in an MMO style game, especially as you're getting started, you know, or multiplayer in general is going to be one. I wouldn't say I would avoid to start, but certainly on your first games, figure out single player.
Especially on your own.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
hard enough to build a world.
networking is a lot harder than
Yeah.
people give it credit for.
Yeah.
Building the world is hard. Then once you build the world, you build the quests in the world. You have to come up with each quest. You have to come up with the characters. You have to
Yeah.
come up with the mechanics and how it works with all the enemies. And it's just there's so much in just open world. I'm like, nah, make one level, see where
Right.
that goes.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I go back
Some
to
indie devs do make it well, like Kingdom Come Deliverance.
But that doesn't
yeah.
seem
Technically
like that's a
indie,
pretty big team, right? It's not just like one or two developers.
it's kind of it's what people would call like double A maybe. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Well, that's
like it is polished and stuff, but it is
I,
not
think,
like
I guess the best
double A.
example of a success story for indie devs is like No Man's Sky, because it failed at first, and I think they only hired like two more
Yeah,
people, but it was
but
like 5 to 7.
is it a success story if you fail miserably out of the gate and take years to
I
become
guess
a
not.
success like that? Like it's like the game failed at release. I mean,
yeah.
to be honest, if they had waited 2 more years to release the game, that would have solved the issue. I think the main issue with trying to make something too big when you're just getting started, especially on your own, is that when you're done with the game, it's going to be obsolete. The
Yeah.
tech is
Well,
going to
that's
be
definitely true.
obsolete. The mechanics are going to be obsolete. The engine you're using might become obsolete. You might have to update like 25 different times, right? Let's say you started an open world game like 12 years ago on using Unreal 3, and Unreal 4 comes out. Oh, let's use
Right.
Unreal 4 now. So now 6 month project to upgrade everything. When you're done, like 4 years later, Unreal 5, and so on
It's
and
kind of
so
how I
on.
feel like with the Starfield. I feel like it's a little outdated, and it just came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a shame because it's like
Yeah, and it
Unreal
happens
Engine
with
5.
AAA devs. That's the
Yeah,
crazy thing. It happens with AAA. Can you imagine for a single
solo or
dev, right?
just double A. Oh, it'd be awful. Yeah, no, start easy and somehow incorporate it where you can change with the technology while developing. Because some companies, some you can't. You just can't redo everything, and then the new tech's
Exactly.
out, and you look old, and
Right.
Yeah. Usually, when people study game development, I think there's two things from that you get when you do like computer science or anything related that's kind of skipped, because especially if you're doing like online courses. One of them actually they do really well with game dev because it like source control in general. Like people just
yes,
gloss
hundred
over it.
percent.
Yeah.
But also PM skills, like how to manage the project. Like simple thing like what's your definition of done? What's your MVP?
Oh yeah,
Like
dude. There's so much that goes into
if
project
you
management.
don't have that, if you don't have those two, and that's actually something that Ben does really well as well, right? It's like go to a game design document. We kind of do that on the courses. That worked really well because you
Yeah.
know what you want to do, what is your like actual completed product, and what's your MVP, right? Because when you have an MVP, you can get actual feedback. You can get that out, like, show your
Right.
parents, show your friends, show like your girlfriend or whatever. Um, hopefully they actually enjoy it, or like hopefully they don't laugh at you, right?
I hope not.
Hopefully they actually give you feedback. To be honest, that's the best thing they could do. Give you honest feedback, ideally actionable feedback. And if you get to a point where your MVP is good enough that you can get it out and ask for strangers to test it, even better. Right? There's a lot of people, especially. I mean, it's kind of a gray area, but like a lot of teenagers with no money would love to just test your game for free.
Oh yeah, totally. I love testing games. I'm
Right.
like, come on, send me your game. Let me just try it out. I feel like I'm
Exactly.
part of this like closed club, and I'm like, yeah, I only played it. No one else did.
We should create a. We should just create a channel here on the Discord with games for us to test.
Oh,
People can just
apparently the
post
new
there.
Wolfeye, so it's the creative director of Prey and Dishonored 2. He made a studio with a couple people, and they're making a game that's like Dishonored and Prey, and so they're opening up the
Oh,
private
that's
alpha
gonna be
beta.
nice.
So I could post that if we make that channel, and we could just
Yeah,
get all of
I
it
know
in
that.
there.
I think we should. Yeah, let's just post. Let's create a channel for that because I think it would be nice. 'Cause, like, if you have something that you think could have potential, send it to us. We'll have a look.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
We might talk about your game even.
Yeah,
Who
who
knows?
knows? Yeah. So please
We've
send it
seen
to
a
us.
lot of interest, and like even if it's not like super polished or anything, yeah, whatever. It's fun. It's interesting.
Hmm.
Gonna give us something to
Yeah. And if you
to
launch
give you
it and
feedback
want
on
to
it.
talk about your success in the game, come on, we'll interview.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the best part. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, getting exciting now. Go back to the interviews. Then we'll lose Bryant. No, we'll make sure we have equal balance. Actually, probably more of these in the interviews, so we have more Bryant.
These are great to make,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I love these. These are fun.
Yeah. One thing actually, one thing I've been thinking about as well, that a lot of people when they're making games, it's very easy to get lost in it. People want to make a video game specifically. Your idea might not be a video game.
Ooh. That's a great. We should have an intervention channel where people like, okay, this idea is awesome, but maybe it's better as a show. Or
Maybe
book
it's a
or-
board game.
Yeah,
Right.
that's also true.
It'd be a board game, and like we're kind of living through a renaissance of board games right now. Like a lot of great board games are coming out of Kickstarter. Most of them are not scams. Uh, I mean, yeah,
Most of them.
Also,
But yeah, no, it's easier to make a board game than it is to make like a triple A like
Yeah.
MMORPG that's like GTA, Starfield. I remember there was a Patreon or Kickstarter like that where it was like it's gonna be everything you ever wanted. Everybody was like, "Oh,
exactly.
it's
The
gonna be
last game you
this."
ever play.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, that's a scam." Red flags. I think the one game
Yes.
that isn't like that, Star Citizen. They're actually making what they said they were gonna make, even if it's taken them like so many years.
And that's a gray area as well, right? Is it a scam if the issue is not that you don't plan on making the games, that you think it's a lot easier than it actually is? And then you ask for money, get the money, and realize you need way more money,
I mean,
or that you
I would
can't do it.
if I realized
The
that,
end result is the same.
I would refund. I'd be like, look, this is actually gonna be harder than it is. Take more time. Maybe I can't handle it. I'm like, I'm refund. I'm gonna find different ways to fund it.
Yeah.
I'd
The
rather
issue
have
is if
that
you
than have a
spent the
bad name.
money.
Yeah, I don't want to taint my reputation like that. People will do that though. They'll
You
screw
ate
themselves
half
over.
of it.
Yeah.
You paid for your food for 2 years. What now? How do you refund that?
You're right.
But yeah, no,
That's tough.
it's kind of a gray area, but like I think most of the quote unquote scam games are just people that think they can actually do it.
They
Some of them,
they
a
started
couple
with
are
making
obvious
WoW.
scams.
That's what the problem was. They were like, I can make this huge
Exactly.
game, and I'm like, no.
We're trying to make WoW, exactly. That's actually what it is. Because most of them are MMORPGs. You know?
Oh my god.
yeah.
Clearly, people trying to make WoW. I can do it better than
You
Blizzard.
should have listened to us.
And to be
Why
fair,
didn't they?
there's a lot of things you can do better than Blizzard, like treat your employees better.
Not get your show leaked. Arcane Season 2 is leaked. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
That's Riot.
Oh, my bad. Oops. Yeah, you're right. That is Riot with League of Legends. But still, they can't believe it got all leaked. What's going on with Netflix?
Yeah, even Riot rolled back their idea of making an MMO, by the way. They're probably not going to make their
It's
MMO.
probably for the best. They were like, they listened to our podcast. They're like, we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
We should do this.
Yeah, let's not make WoW. I mean, the creative director left, and then like, I think they kind of lost the drive to go on. And instead of releasing an incomplete game, they're actually just not releasing it, not charging people for it. Look, that's a novel idea.
Wow.
MMOs are tough.
They're so tough.
I mean, they're yeah.
They feel
Yeah.
like too blocky for me. Like, it doesn't feel smooth. I feel like I'm playing like an online. I don't. It doesn't feel like I can get immersed.
It depends on the game, but I just think depends on how long you play a game for. Games have a shelf life to me,
Mm-hmm.
and MMOs,
Yeah, that's a big issue nowadays as well. Every game wants to be a 200-hour immersive experience. Like,
yeah,
you can make a good 2-hour game. Like a lot of good games are like 2-3 hours long.
but that
Like, if
that's
you actually
MMOs
play
too.
Mario properly, how long does it take to finish the original Super Mario Brothers if you're not 5 years old?
On top of it, I don't know. It's been a long time. What, 30 minutes maybe? If you ran the whole thing through, I haven't played that in so long, I couldn't tell you. But back in the day, it didn't take long, surprisingly.
Yeah.
There's only, 8 levels in multiple parts? Is that all it was?
Yeah. And the game was way too hard exactly because it was short, because they couldn't fit a bigger game in the cartridge.
Right.
and it felt harder because you're a kid as well. Like
Right.
you're slower. You don't have like the proper reflexes, or you're getting used to your body.
Yeah. Well, it's the mechanics that they introduce. Each level progressed with a little bit different of a mechanic too, that made it a little more challenging.
Yeah. There's that. I think, especially if you're making an indie game on your own, like even if it's not on your own, if you have a small team of like 2-3 devs, maybe 2 devs and an artist or something like that, making a good solid like half an hour even experience a lot better than trying to make something huge. Because like, especially if you fail, 'cause, like if you fail,
it's only half hour.
the time it took you to make a half-hour experience, a lot less time than it would take you to make
200
WoW.
hours.
Blizzard took like what 5 years to make WoW originally, something like that, and they started making WoW before Warcraft 3 came out, and then WoW came out in 2004. I think Warcraft 3 came out in 2000, 2001, something like that.
Okay.
Easily 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
Well, a multi-million-dollar company.
WoW's kind of even a different beast, I think, than a lot of just MMOs. Because a lot of MMOs are Unreal Engine, giant world map, and that's it, and you kind of all play together.
Yeah.
WoW and all those, even Ultima Online back in the day, when now you're really trying to have hundreds, thousands of players on the same map.
And there are, to be honest, like we always say, don't make WoW. There are like actual ways of introducing MMORPG mechanics, or actually making an MMORPG without making WoW. Like Albion Online is a great example. Like, it's basically an indie game. It has a very specific niche, and it actually fits that. Like it is the game it wants to be. It's nothing more. Right, because it feels old school. It has an art style. That's another issue a lot of games have nowadays, especially if you're getting started, because everything is quote unquote photorealistic.
Yeah.
Albion doesn't try to be photorealistic. RuneScape doesn't try to be photorealistic.
Yeah,
WoW isn't trying to be photorealistic.
You can make an MMO, but just realize or whatever that your world doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah.
Just because it's an MMO. It can be a relatively small world and still feel open in a lot of ways.
And you're making a live service game as well, so you can't just batch it and make it bigger over time. Like RuneScape was made on on a garage, right? It was made on like their parents'
garage.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well,
code.
Brothers just did it on their own, right? Like there's a great documentary about that, by the way. Watch the RuneScape documentary. It shows how they made it.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely watch that. I
like as their parents talking about the game, it's so funny. It's like a couple things like they asked their mom to draw the cows.
Really?
Like the sound
so mom help with the
cooking
cows?
and like the sound of you cooking is like their mom cooking bacon.
Yeah.
It's random things like that.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It feels like a family thing, and it is like it's like 3 brothers, and they had to make a game in the late 90s, and like it kind of came out and became a thing. It's like the 3rd biggest MMO.
Yeah,
right.
That's so cool.
A lot of it has to do with timing as well, because like the first game that came out with wasn't what it is today. Like it going back to what Bryant said, it had a very small map.
Yeah,
but it had.
I think you're right.
Things
learn to patch it, right? Learn some of those other skills about how you update your game once it's released as well. Some of that's not as straightforward, or maybe even more so than updating it, adding content.
Yeah.
How do MMOs add content all the time? How do you kind of seamlessly add more things to your game without really throwing your game off?
I agree.
Yeah. One interesting thing as well, because like I was watching. I remember Callum that we interviewed a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He was talking about his MMO, the one he's making, and another MMO he went to consult on, and a lot of going back to the networking we were talking about earlier, right? A lot of the networking solutions you get nowadays for MMOs, like it's third party, you just buy it in, license it for your game, right? And it's super expensive.
Yeah.
It's prohibitively expensive, even, especially when you get to a point where you start losing players because like people lose interest, right? People try it out, they lose interest. Some remain. And he was talking about this other game he was consulting on, and one of the reasons he was excited about the project is that they created their own networking solution instead of licensing another one. It is a lot more expensive in the moment,
But in the
but
long.
it pays off because like you don't have to pay a license, right? It's like
Right.
I was talking about, like if you have millions of players, like you get bulk discounts and things like that, where you're paying like 5 cents a month per player, which is actually, if you think about 1 million players, it's a reasonable amount of money. But then, like when you get to lower numbers, you have maybe 1,000, 2,000 players, you're paying like $1 per player a month.
Right.
But then, like 1,000 players, it's $1,000 a month. Are you actually getting that money back from each player, plus like all your other costs, right? Actually, nowadays with like get some EC2s and like host them on AWS and
EC2.
get it running.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a type of
I would say if you're doing an MMO, well, not MMO, right? That's probably misleading. Or open world. You're still target for that small 20 player ish. Play with friends, hosted internally or whatever. And
a game that works well with that is Guild Wars, the original, not Guild Wars 2. It's kind of an MMORPG, but it's basically just an RPG that you can go into common areas.
Yeah.
And then you see other players, but when you're out into the world, you're not like interacting with them in any way unless you group up. That actually solves a lot of design problems that MMOs tend to have as well, where like you have competition, especially RuneScape solved it with you have different worlds hosting like the same world, but you can hop in between them.
Mm-hmm.
But most MMOs, you're stuck in your own server.
Right.
You cannot change servers unless you pay a fee, usually, right? And then in Guild, but then you go to an area, it's crowded. How do you get the resources, right? The downside, of course, is that then everything feels empty, but that's the view you're going for, and it works really well. I think post-apocalyptic works really well with simpler open world experience, where you don't need to invest a lot of time and money to like put a bunch of stuff into the map, because like you see some dead plants, you maybe a thing that actually works really well with open world games. Just use procedural generation to create like kind of the biomes, to stick them together, maybe polish like especially the transitions. That's more than enough for like a simple open world. Then you make it either like prehistoric or post-apocalyptic, or like in space where you don't expect to have that many people out in the actual world. And you could have like a simple open world experience that feels right without investing like 50,000 hours or something.
Right.
Look at that. Such great advice, Ricardo. You should be a consultant for sold the devs who want to make open world. But yeah, no, this was a lot of good information for this podcast. We got the difficulty, the open world. Talked about the different games, what was good, what was not. But yeah, I'm excited. This was good. I'm excited to see more of what we come up with, so I can see what people share, so we can try out their games and the beta testing, alpha testing. Yeah. So we got to come up with a challenge now. We're getting to the 2-hour mark.
That was a great challenge. I have a great challenge. Actually.
Yes. What challenge you got for us?
Send us your alpha.
Oh, yes. Beautiful. Beautiful challenge. Yes, send us your alpha. Send it to one of us. Send it in Discord. Send it email us, LinkedIn us, however you want. We'll get it in and put it on Discord and try it out. Maybe we'll even do one episode where we just try out all the different games.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, stay awesome out there, guys. Keep creating and don't make well. See you guys next time.